So welcome everyone to class. So we're going to start the class by a meal. Usually my cooking classes, as you know, Mary's been to one, we usually will cook a whole big feast and then enjoy it together and eat a big meal together at the end. But this time we're going to start by eating so that we have a nice base layer in our tummy and we're not putting our sugary sweets right into an empty stomach. And I say that, but let me just mention too that, because it's kind of a good tip of information, and it's kind of an Ayurvedic thing, is that they say when you do have a sweet treat, it actually is better to have it on an empty stomach because it doesn't get fermented and staying inside your tummy. So something to think about as well. But we all know when we have a sugary sweet with nothing in our bellies, we wind up having that big high and low. So you know, there's a balance there. So just something to think about. If sugary sweets don't do well with you at, say, the end of a big meal, think about, oh, maybe I need to have, you know, a piece of fruit on an empty stomach would actually digest better. So just something to think about. So we're going to start with our meal. We're going to talk about our experience with the 21-day clean eating challenge over our meal for a little while. And then after that, we're going to get into the education on all these natural sugars and just do a little education part. And then we're going to get into cooking our sweets. And I have the carrot cake already made. We're going to be making chia chocolate mousse in the Vitamix. We're going to be making a chocolate milkshake. So we're going to satisfy the chocolate sweet cravings. And then one more thing I'm making. Oh, chocolate freezer fudge, which Mary Ellen, you have tried the freezer fudge, and so have you, Lisa, right?
It's delicious. Delicious.
So have you, Alex, has tried all of these things. So, okay, so come on in. Come on in, Lisa. Okay, so I'm just going to explain what we're going to eat so you guys can see how to make your plates. So you guys can all come on over. And so I've prepared a pot of quinoa. I went with quinoa because it's really easy. If you haven't gotten into quinoa yet, it's time. It's so easy, so delicious. So I make it in my rice cooker, how I've told you guys about that. If you're unfamiliar and scared of a rice cooker, look how easy it is. You use this measuring cup, and I put 5 of these measuring cups in here, and then I just fill the water up to the 5 line, and I press start, and that's how you make it. It's so easy. I did rinse the quinoa first because you want to rinse off that layer because every grain has a sort of enzyme on the outside to protect itself. So if you rinse it or soak it, it's going to help to release that and make it more digestible. So quinoa doesn't need to be soaked. Just a quick rinse is fine. So you just kind of, I put it in a strainer and just kind of mess with it a bit. So in this pot of quinoa, I also put a piece of dulse, which is seaweed. So seaweed has iodine in it, which is really important for our thyroid function. It looks like this. I put about this size in the pot of quinoa. You won't even know it's there. You don't taste it, you don't see it, nothing, but you're getting a lot of health benefit from it. So good thing to incorporate. So we're going to just make ourselves a plate. Oh, it's okay. Please silence your phones.
It's my phone. Should we stop for a second?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So, next we have this is a kale salad. If you haven't gotten into kale salad yet, this is a really good beginner one. There's roasted beets in there, which are super sweet. It's massaged with apple cider vinegar. By massaging the kale, you break down the cellular walls and structure of the kale, so it makes it a lot more tender. I also smushed in an avocado, and there's lemon and walnuts and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. And so, wish you were here. Okay.
Say hi, everyone.
So then we have, these are mustard greens from my garden. They're really, really spicy. So you'll probably just want a little bit as like a little bit of garnish, just to add into your plate. They're kind of spicy like horseradish, like mustard horseradish, right? So it's good to add, like I talked about in one of my emails, it's really important to balance all those flavors, right? You want a little spicy, you want a little umami, savory, you want a little bit of sweet, so you want salty, it's important to use salt. Okay, so then the last we have is the roasted root veggies. And so here we have, there's sweet potato, there's rutabagas, there's turnips, there's parsnips, and there's Brussels sprouts. So that will give us a nice sweet flavoring. So one more thing on, I just wanted to point out that, everything, all the recipes I've given you guys, everything I do, I'm bound to do this. It's like my goal. I'm going to write a cookbook called How to Cook Everything with Olive Oil, Salt, and Pepper. It's going to be a #1 bestseller. Everyone's going to buy it.
That's so true.
It's really hard to do. And you need a cookbook for that. I mean, everything could be cooked with olive oil, salt, and pepper. So easy. So, make your olive oil and salt and pepper available. Make your ingredients available. Keep things out that you want to be consuming, right? I have all my oils. I have my salt in my pretty salt cellar, and it feels so good just to open it and to feel it and to pinch my salt and feel my salt and know the balance, right? When there's no salt in anything, it's hard to taste the flavor of the food. You put a little bit of salt, you can taste the flavor of the food. You put too much salt, and it tastes salty. So find that balance. It's also nice to have a nice pepper shaker. This one is just a touch and one hand, and it makes it really easy. I keep my olive oil real easy to pour. So that's really nice. And then also, as far as balancing flavors and making sure your whole family is happy, we're just going to look over here for a minute, Lisa. So you'll see this is on our table. This is out all the time. We have a variety of hot sauces. We have sesame seeds. We have dulse flakes. There's turmeric. There's soy sauce, hot chili sauce, so all sorts of stuff. And it just kind of, when we think about eating for like our medicine, like our food is our medicine, it's nice to have these kind of flavors and little add-ons to go, well, what does my body need? Everybody's different, right? Some people want the spicy food, some people don't. So it's nice to keep that out and, make it to your flavoring. In addition, for today, I have, I made this tahini lemon sauce. So it's olive oil, lemon, tahini, garlic, and water, and salt and pepper. So we can put that on our dish as well. So now we're going to make our dishes. You can probably sign off for a little bit. I'll kind of sum up some things that we talked about that you guys missed. But the reason I didn't want a meal plan, and that's what, so many times people will say, well, what's your program about? Is it a meal? Do you tell me exactly what to eat? Do you send me a shopping list? And what to, that's not the point, right? The point is we want to go to the grocery store or to our garden and see what's fresh, see what's local, see what's coming in, and we want to be creative, and we want to just what feels right. What do I feel like eating right now? Not even in a, satiate my cravings, but what does my body need, right? Food is your medicine. Let medicine be thy food, right? And so when we can make our food choices based on, I'm this, strong German woman, it doesn't really feel right to be eating salad all day day long. That's not where I came from. That's not who I am. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't feel right to me. And I need to feed that, that heritage, where I come from. And that's great, So I don't think a meal plan, I don't think somebody telling you what to eat every day, every meal is right. That doesn't sit right with me. So hopefully what you guys have gained and learned is the ability to, or at least just kind of become more in tune with, what does my body need? What am I desiring? Our discussion over the meal really kind of kept going back to genetics and cancer. And I have to say that, that is what catapulted me into what I'm doing right now. My next door neighbor, 35 years old, got diagnosed with breast cancer, 3 little kids. And I'm like, she was the same age as me. And I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And a dear friend of ours, got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she was going through chemotherapy. And I thought to myself, I could never make that decision to do that. I'm so anti-chemotherapy that I don't want to be in that position ever, and I'm going to make a big stand right now to prevent it in any way I can. And we talked a lot about genetic markers, and we all have these genes and DNA that we're born with, and we have the ability to turn on and turn off these genetic markers by our environment, by what we're putting in our body. That's what triggers it. And what Mary Ellen so well spokenly explained to us, that if the genetic part is going to take over, then that's going to be at a younger age. And I love hearing that, because I do feel that we have the ability, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, or 70, today you can make a difference in how your genes are going to produce right now and tomorrow. They can keep getting healthier and healthier. Our body wants to heal. Our body wants to heal. Look at those flowers. Look at the tulips. They're reaching for the sun. They want to grow. They're moving towards the sun. Our body is the same way. We want to heal, but if we don't give ourselves the water and the sunlight, they're just going to kind of wilt right where they are. They're going to give up, right? They have nowhere to go. So we need to make sure we're feeding ourselves right. Some things that I've had conversations with a few of you privately throughout the last few weeks, and just some interesting things that have come up. A lot of people were very surprised by ingredients that were in common products, like for instance. So here's Worcestershire sauce that I had in my cabinet, and there is natural flavorings in it, but besides for that, it's all pretty. I can read all the ingredients. There is sugar in it also, but I could read sugar. It's not high fructose corn syrup, and it's not some fancy name. So while a family member was here, he said, "Oh, you're low on Worcestershire. I'll grab some." He picked up the H-E-B Worcestershire, and when I look in this one, there's caramel coloring, which is the worst form of food coloring. There's high fructose corn syrup. There's hydrolyzed soy protein. There's gum blends, sodium alginate. There's all sorts of stuff in here. Whereas this one that maybe costs 30 cents more doesn't have the stuff in it. So that we can make choices. We can educate ourselves as consumers. So I'm not perfect. I do use my Worcestershire sauce that has a little bit of sugar, whatever, but I went for the better choice. And this one just sits on my shelf for show and tell now. I used to eat this sushi ginger all the time. We eat sushi. We love having seaweed and all that. It took me a long time to realize there's actually aspartame and red number 40 in this. And so there's all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, in my sushi ginger. And here I am, no good. So I found a natural form of ginger at the health food store. I'm very happy. When we did our sugar challenge, Alex came up, she goes, "Gosh, here, dry roasted peanuts," right? I just went and got some peanuts for our stir fry, dry roasted peanuts. What else can be in there? Well, there is natural flavoring, there's sugar, there's dried corn syrup, there's maltodextrin, and there's gelatin. So they're not even vegetarian. So
Horse hooves.
dry roasted peanuts, just stuffed with stuff. But look, guys, there's no MSG.
What a blessing.
It's very sad. It's very sad. So please just read your ingredients. And, Lisa asked a wonderful question through this whole challenge. She said, "Cara, my friend just asked me," she said, "Oh, I cut out all my chemicals, I cut out MSG," and her friend said, well, what's wrong with MSG? And Lisa didn't know how to answer it. She said, Cara, why don't I like MSG? And I said, gosh, I need to give you a good reason on this, okay? So
Your answer was, you said, and you didn't hesitate, and you said, because you're putting toxins in your body, was
Okay.
your answer.
Okay, so it's not just that. That's what I said right then. But because this kind of leads into sugar. So MSG is, and all these additives, they disconnect us from our food. They make food taste the way they want you to make them more appealing and more, softer and fresher and cushier and whiter and, and they disconnect us from what the actual food tastes like. And so on top of the toxins, yes, our body doesn't know what to do with it. It's taking this molecule and chemically changing it, and our body's like, what's that? How do I deal with that? Oh, I'll just put it in the trash, so then our lymph system has to take care of it. And it, builds up, and then it messes with our adrenals, and then that starts messing with our thyroid, and it goes on and on and on. But really the connection, I think, is the biggest thing. And because when you're having all this food that's soaked in MSG and the flavor is the flavor just how do they make this taste so good, and then you come home and you make something and you're like, oh, I don't cook very well because it doesn't taste like that.
Because your palate is getting hijacked.
Right, exactly. And so, that's the biggest thing. So hopefully by you cutting out all these chemicals, you have kind of reconnected with just the natural flavor of food. I know, Kim, you told me, I made your date balls, and oh my gosh, they were so sweet. I could barely deal, and the only sweetener was dates. So, she has reconnected with her sense of sweet by cutting out, she was on artificial sweeteners and all that, and it's going to, so this is kind of leading into sweet because we're doing the same thing with sugar. It's loaded into everything, and not only that, it's altered in different forms. It's multiplied times 100 times what sugar actually tastes like. So again, we've lost that connection. Our body doesn't know how to connect what actual sweet is and connect the caloric intake with that sweet flavor. So we should be able to take a bite of chocolate cake and our body register like, woo, this is a lot of calories, this feels really rich. But if you're constantly eating sugary foods, you're like, oh, a piece of chocolate cake, right? So we're reconnecting with that natural sweet taste. And it's important to connect with the sweet. Like I said in my emails, like that is one of our sensations, that's one of our tastes. And it's important to have it. So in our meal today, we had, the sweet potatoes and the parsnips and, and all that was really sweet and savory and everything all at once. And so, right now dessert sounds okay, but I really could go without it, but we're here to do dessert. So we're going to do dessert. So I'm going to get into a little bit into the sugars. So glucose is, are you okay, Alex, or did you want to? Go ahead. You can excuse yourself. So glucose, she's going to do biology.
Bye, Alex. Come down later for the sweets, girly.
We're going to talk about biology.
I get to learn about all the mechanisms you're talking about.
All right, excellent.
Come down and tell us something we don't know. Okay. Okay, so glucose is your basic sugar molecule, and we basically break down every form of food. Every carbohydrate gets broken down into this basic glucose cellular structure. Our body needs it. That's what we use for energy, right? It's what controls our insulin. So it's very important that we take it in the right proportion so that we're not over triggering our insulin. When we over trigger it, our insulin's just like, whoa, what's going on? Okay, I'll release a lot. Okay, I'll release it. How much are you going to give me? And that's what all these sugary foods are doing. It's making our insulin receptors just go crazy. And then eventually they're just like, I give up. And a lot of people are losing their ability to maintain their insulin levels, and that's where type 2 diabetes is coming in. Other than that, fructose is the other simple form of sugar, and that's mostly found in fruit, comes from fruit. It's really yummy. It's super sweet. It's lipogenic. I wrote down some keywords that I wanted to remember to tell you, which means it's quickly turned into fat. It's stored as glycogen. It's quickly turned into fat. So we need to be careful of our fructose levels. So, I mean, yeah, fruit is good for you. It's a good sweetener, but it's still sugar, right? And when we have it in the full fruit form, that's much better because you're at least having the fiber with it, and it's going to reduce that glycemic index like we talked about in the emails. When you're juicing it, you're getting all the vitamins and minerals, but if it's fresh juice, but you're getting really high doses of fructose. So and then real quick, sucrose is the third one, and that's a combination of glucose and fructose. And that's what table sugar and corn is sucrose. And then your body breaks that down into fructose and glucose, and that's how it digests through. So, this was interesting to me too, because that's where, because you'll see sugar beets. So we had beets in our lunch today. Those are table beets. Sugar beets are specifically grown for their sugar. They're smaller and sweeter, and they are very much a GMO crop right now. So when you see sucrose, it's probably comes from GMO corn or GMO beets. So that's kind of why we want to stay away from that. So what they're doing is taking that fructose molecule and just pulling it. So there's just that, you have this beautiful fruit, and there's, you taste the sweet juice of the fruit, and now we can all appreciate it because we've been off the false sugars. You really taste how sweet a piece of fruit is, and that drip of sweetness, that little morsel there that really triggers you, and it's like, oh, that's so sweet, right? They're taking just that little bit and they're multiplying it by thousands, and that's what they're producing, and that's what they're pumping into all your beverages and all your food in the heat blows. So so that's kind of just the basics of sugar, right? And absolutely, and they are so high acidic. We talked about alkaline over our meal, and it's really important to keep an alkaline environment in your body to help prevent cancers from growing.
And just define alkaline again.
So the pH, on the pH scale, we all remember the pH scale is 0 through 14, right?
Seven,
and 7
is where we need to be. Okay.
Neutral.
Right.
So we want to be slightly alkaline. Did I not? I didn't put in the emails, huh? I have a nice little handout. It is, actually. You guys all go back. You didn't click into all your links. I did give you the pH scale. They're foods and it shows you where the foods lie on the pH scale. Pretty much sugar, meat, alcohol, all that stuff is all alkaline. All acidic. And the alkaline foods are your greens and water, and you know what I mean? It's pretty you can guess where everything is.
So that a little below 7.
A little below 7.
Yeah, okay.
So your lemon water in the morning is a great way to get your pH right on track, just to start in the morning. It kind of flushes out the acidity in your body, and which is kind of ironic because it's
the
acidic of a lemon, but for some reason the lemon is different than all other acids, right?
Would that be true for the lime as well?
You've asked me that. Did you ask me that before? Someone else?
I did.
No, you did. It was at the yoga thing.
Well, I know for lemon it's converted to alkaline very quickly in the stomach.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna find that out. That's so funny. I'm like, someone else asked me that. You too. And then I brought up, why do lemons have seeds and limes don't?
Yes.
Right?
That's true. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. Anyways,
Because she wants
wow.
kids in your margarita.
that's
why.
right.
That's why.
Thank you, Lord.
Well, now this is the chicken and the egg thing. If the lime doesn't have the seed, then where does it come from?
That's deep.
I mean, think about that.
I know. Where does
That's
it come
too deep for
from?
me.
How do you plant a lime?
Exactly. How do you propagate? This is good
Storks.
stuff. Would you please, Marion, would you please research that? Would you please get back to us on that?
We need
That's
we
so
need the lime
good.
storks. Yeah.
That's so good.
Okay. All right. So now we're gonna go into any questions.
You got it. Tough crowd. Tough crowd.
Okay. The kitty's staring at me. Okay. So now we're just gonna talk a little bit. So we talked about artificial sweeteners. Why we want to stay away from them. I hope everybody is away from them already. Main thing is you're really altering your sense of sweet, and like I said, you're losing your ability to tie in that caloric intake. You're tricking your body into thinking, "Ooh, I got something sweet," but then it's not registering that you've gotten the calories from it, and your whole process, your whole ability to feel when you're full and satisfied, all goes out the door. So it's really important to stay away from all of those. There's so many links now, and is the research right that it is linked to higher obesity and higher
God,
diabetes
yes. Oh, yes.
with the artificial sweeteners. So yeah. Okay, so white sugar I don't even have here on the table. Oh, and real quick, I just wanted to show you. So we want to start with the, I'll bring everything front. By bringing in our natural sweets, and that's what we did. This is ideal, right? So here's your parsnip. These are what we had in our lunch. Here's the the rutabaga. And here's the turnip. So the turnip's a little whiter. The rutabaga's a little more yellow. This one's a little more spicy. The parsnip is a cross between a turnip and a carrot. So it looks like a carrot, tastes more like a turnip. And then we had some sweet potatoes. So all really yummy. Really yummy, sugary foods from the ground. So, okay. So I don't even have white sugar on the table, but when we talk about white sugar, it comes from sugar cane and it comes from sugar beets. And so it's like I said, it's the sucrose, and so I mean it's just very high glycemic. It's sending your insulin levels like crazy. It's just shooting it straight. It's highly processed. So the idea is to kind of bring it down to a more natural sweeteners like our vegetables, but sometimes we want a little bit more sweet. So that's why today we're looking at all these different ones. So I'm just trying to stay organized, but I'm not really, am I? Okay. So molasses. You've asked about molasses.
I did, about blackstrap.
How do you feel about molasses? Okay, so brown sugar. So when they process sugar, let's say the sugar cane, when they process the sugar cane, it starts. Are you getting the dog?
Because you looked up the brown sugar. Look who popped up.
So when you think about when they process the sugar cane, it has to go through all these heatings and shakings and sandings. It's going through, I mean, you think about a stalk of sugar cane. I wish I had a stalk of sugar cane so we can look at it, because, hey, if that's where we actually got our sugar, we'd be sitting there gnawing on it just to get that one little morsel of sweet, that's where it came from, right? Then we figured out how to process it into these little cubes. In that process, first comes like through one of the strainings is brown sugar. So brown sugar contains some of the molasses. That's what makes it brown. And so molasses is basically the byproduct of refined sugar. And it actually contains some vitamins and minerals and nutrients. Okay, disclaimer. Sugar is sugar. Okay, it's got vitamins and minerals and nutrients, but it's sugar, right? So I just want to say that, like, none of these are really what we should be. Oh, it's healthy for me. It's good, but better alternatives. So yes, molasses is actually a good alternative.
But the blackstrap's supposed to be the best, isn't
The
it?
blackstrap, because it's the less processed one. Okay. Some of the nutrients it has is iron, calcium, manganese, copper, and potassium.
So when the recipe calls for half a cup of sugar, you do half a cup. What do you do? A half a cup of molasses?
Well, I gave you, on one of your handouts, you do have the conversions.
Okay.
But that's going to mess with your recipe. Like if you have a recipe, if you're baking and you're supposed to use sugar, well, if you're supposed to use, never mind the flavor, like, so that conversion table will give you the sweetness conversion, but you're messing with the consistency. Like if you're baking with a cup of granulated sugar, that's a dry ingredient. And so to add a wet ingredient is totally going to mess with it. So we have to think of alternative ways. And then one we use for granulated sugar is coconut sugar. And so coconut sugar is... this is a good, a lot of my clients have really taken to coconut sugar. They're like, oh, I could just use coconut sugar and I'm fine with that. Okay, it's still sugar. It's still sugar, right? So you need to be careful with it. It's still processed, but not processed as much. It says, an unrefined but just as civilized alternative to cane sugar. It's still sugar, okay? This you can use for baking, 1-to-1 replacement with sugar. It says it right on the back. So this has actually been a really good, I've taken my grandmother's sacred mandel bread recipe that we've had forever, passed on, and I have made it with coconut sugar and whole wheat flour, and my family loves it. So I felt very sacrilegious. I first started by doing half white, half wheat, and then I'm like, I'm just going to see how it is, going whole wheat and full coconut sugar, plenty sweet. It's delicious. So coconut sugar is really, there. You can find it right in the sugar aisle of the grocery store. It's everywhere now. It's still sugar. Okay. Okay, and then... oh, here, just something on coconut sugar that I wrote down. It's from the sap of the coconut palm. It has the same calories and carbs as sugar. It's 75% sucrose, but that's broken down into fructose and glucose, so it's still 50% fructose. And something to be careful of is that some brands are now starting to mix it with cane sugar, so make sure you're getting pure coconut sugar. Gotta be careful. Okay, my favorite of all, the honeybee. So, love the honey. I keep my jar of honey here by my Vitamix and I put it in my tea. I love my honey jar. So, honey is, let's see, it's also 50% fructose, but it's got antioxidants, trace amounts of vitamins and minerals. So the more raw your honey is, the more nutrients it's going to have because it's the less processed. So a lot of times you'll find, and Lisa's had this question, because like, see how it's raw, this is raw honey, so it does start to harden and coagulate. All I have to do is soak this in hot water and it will loosen up. Honey never goes bad. It's the one food that never spoils. So all you have to do is put it in hot water, let it loosen up, and you'll have your honey back. It's best to have as local honey as possible. I always laugh when you're at a grocery store and it says on the thing, local honey. I'm like, local where? Like, I'm buying this from Kroger's, so where's local? I mean, right? So you want to, if you have allergy problems, you really want to focus on going as local as, like, try to find the beekeeper down the street because they will have the bees that have the pollens you're trying to fight on a daily basis. Are you getting Napoleon's laughing?
No, I know.
So here, this one's a little bit more refined. It's more liquid. So like if I was going to cook with honey, it might be easier to use something like this, where it's, this one is actually a cinnamon honey, so I wouldn't, but yeah, so that's that. It is in Ayurveda, honey is the preferred sweetener. It's the most natural, but they say don't cook it. It's best used raw. So something. Okay, here's my next favorite, maple syrup. the sap from the maple tree. This is, the darker it is, the more vitamins and minerals it has in it because it's the less processed. It has manganese, zinc, iron, calcium, and potassium. It's got antioxidants, so it's 65% sucrose. It's got less fructose than honey. So really nice. So I'm not talking Aunt Jemima, I'm talking real maple syrup, right? Aunt Jemima is just high fructose corn syrup with caramel coloring and maple flavoring. Okay. So we'll be using that today. Okay, so stevia is the big thing on the market. You have to be really careful. Stevia is 200 times sweeter than sugar, has 0 calories, but it's super, super sweet. So it's almost like an artificial sweetener. Now, if you took the stevia leaf and chewed on the leaf or chopped the leaf into your recipe, I think that would be fine because it actually grows in a leaf. But the way they process it like this, it's totally over-processed. Not only that, this one has natural flavor, sodium benzoate, there's sugar alcohols in here, and a preservative. So you have to be careful that you're getting straight stevia. This one actually has some agave in it. Speaking of agave, this became like, everybody was agave crazy. Oh, it comes from the agave plant, you know. Because it's really low glycemic index, so the glucose level on is really low. It's super high in fructose. So, yeah, and then you don't even get the fiber of the plant. Like, it'd be different if you were eating the agave plant, right? But when you're just taking this processed form of it and it's packed with sugar, it's no good. So this is one of those, like, things that went crazy in the health field that now they're going, mm-mm.
But that's because Dr. Oz throws those things out, and then a week later it's, that's actually bad for you.
I know. What do we do? Well, I know that the bees make honey, and I know that maple syrup comes from a tree. You know, I've never seen agave. I don't know. You know? So I think that's our best weapon is, well, I've never seen that where it came from or where it's made. I don't have a connection to it, right? So I'm gonna doubt that one. This is another one with agave is brown rice syrup. Sometimes you'll see that in like bars and cereals, and you go, oh, well, it's coming from brown rice or whatever. It's like super high. You know, it's what's the word? Oh, I can't think of it. But it's packed with gluten, and because it's just like the sap. Oh no, actually, it's gluten free. Right, because rice is gluten free. But it's all the sticky sap from the brown rice, and it's one of those things where they make it sound like a health food, and there's really no nutritional value to it. Also, rice, how it's grown, it actually has a trace of arsenic in it. So that's why we don't always want to have rice. We want to mix it up with quinoa, but then we don't want to have too much quinoa, so mix it up with rice. You know, like a little bit of rice is okay. Like, we just don't want to have rice all the time. So when you start and concentrate things, well, I'm thinking there's probably arsenic in brown rice syrup.
They said that there's more arsenic in brown rice than the white rice. And if you go to Consumer Reports, they actually have a table as to where the best places, if your rice is from India, it's better than, the South, and California is better, and
Apparently Texas is high.
yeah, and you're supposed to rinse it, and there are a lot of guidelines.
And soak it. Yep, soak your rice. Yep. I told you guys, soak
Are there
your rice.
any other preferred grains? Is quinoa those rice? Now, mix up rice. What are the other preferred
Quinoa. I
grains?
love farro. Has been one of my favorite.
Yeah, I
ones.
haven't tried that yet. I'm
Is it a
anxious to
seed?
try it.
It's a seed?
No, it's a grain.
Okay.
It's a grain. Yeah. So farro, kamut. If you go to go to a health food store, all the Bob's Red Mill is putting out all these beautiful grains. There's millet is a great grain. They say, like, there's people who, it's like in the Bible, you know, like you can live on millet alone kind of thing. It has a flavor. It almost is like polenta. It's like a cornmeal kind of feeling to it, and is really nice with like a southwestern flair. Like you can put jalapeno or something like that in it, you know.
Good to
Be
know.
nice. Yeah. So okay. So then here's another one of my favorites, the date. I love cooking with dates. There's a lot of great bars out there now made from dates, and we'll be cooking with dates as well. Speaking of, we should get cooking. Okay, so the other thing is I love to sweeten using vanilla and cinnamon. Talking about making like a sweet sensation with no sweetening, you know? I mean, you put cinnamon and vanilla in your oatmeal, and it's like, I don't really need any sweet. So that's a great way to do it too. So these are cacao beans. They're roasted cacao beans. So this is where we get our chocolate. You can even eat one. They're roasted. They're just kind of crunchy. They're really bitter. Cacao is really bitter. So we're going to be cooking right now using cacao, and we're going to sweeten it up. So when we get our chocolate bars, you know, they process the cacao beans into nibs, which I have some nibs you can see, and then they process it more into a powder, and then sometimes they'll then take it and they'll mix it with sugar. That's where we get our candy bars. So here's a dark chocolate. It's 70% cacao. So when we go for our dark chocolate bars, we want to go 70% or higher in cacao. It's going to be bitter, but it's a good ratio of sugar to cacao ratio. But then, okay. So when we work with chocolate, so the desserts we're gonna make today, we're going to use maple syrup, and we're going to use dates, mixing with the cacao. We're gonna use fruit, and so you're gonna see just how simple we can make these desserts. So really quick, okay. And then this is one more thing I'm going to use, and then we're through all our products. This is maca powder. Maca is a root that grows in South America, and it's known to give you a lot of energy, and it's got this sweet butterscotch flavor to it. There are some, you have to read about it. It's one of those things, it's this superfood, but then there's people who say it really messes with hormones, and people who are highly susceptible to breast cancer should probably not eat it. But then other people like live and thrive on it and get so much energy, and they say don't give it to kids, you know. So it's like one of these, I don't know. Every once in a while I put a half a teaspoon into my milkshake, and it makes it taste really creamy and delicious, and I don't think half a teaspoon's going to give me anything back. So yeah, maybe if I was living off of it, it's going to totally mess with me. But I had some this morning, and I have a lot of energy. I had to test out the milkshake. I don't know if you guys saw that. This is where I'm like, I just have to test that recipe, and so I'm like drinking this milkshake for breakfast. I'm like, this is not what I want to be eating right now. But anyways, okay, so.
And are those teas that you've got?
And these are some teas, if you guys would like, as I demonstrate the cooking, and I'm just looking at time, you're welcome to try any of them. So one way that we talked about, you know, curving our sweet tooth, and sometimes it's just a habit, like, oh, I just need something after dinner. For me, when it's just the habit I'm looking for, the tea really, I just changed that habit, and ooh, I'm gonna go put the kettle, like dinner's over, I'm gonna go put the kettle on, you know, and it's kind of comforting and warming. And these teas all have great sweet flavoring in them. We've got cinnamon, cardamom, ginger. This one is lavender and chamomile and rose, fennel, chicory, cardamom. So you can come look. I love these pucca teas. I know they sell them at Central Market. I see them like every once in a while, and actually sometimes I find them at Marshall's and Home Goods, and then I've also ordered them online, just on Amazon. So, because they're kind of hard to find, but there's lots of teas out there. So if you guys want to come and sit around the people who are very healthy who don't exercise.
The discussion is nutrition versus
And who are
exercise
skinny
right
and
now.
healthy and live a long time and all they do is, well, but they walk. I mean, I'm not saying they're not active. So yes,
Well,
being
and
active.
I'm
is
not
very-
saying they're mutually exclusive, but the thing that actually outweighs nutrition somewhat is exercise. And the reason why, and this is really what I'm getting at, is, you know, metabolically, if you're racing, your body's racing through the metabolism from being active. Think of your 12-year-old boys. They're just, and the reason I'm going here is because you can eat a certain amount of stuff that's not like perfect for you and metabolize it. If, I mean, really, the holy grail is active and good nutrition. That is the holy grail of quality of life.
Right,
health.
because you can't run off a bag of Doritos.
No. No, but if
You're not running the chemicals off, you're just running the calories off,
Right.
but the chemicals are still staying with you.
But if you have a few little this or that, like this is not like on the top of the purity, spectrum, but at the same time you're eating roasted vegetables and they're mainly organic and your body's alkaline and you're active, at a certain point you just got to call it a bleep day.
Mhm.
Like this is what I'm doing
Yeah.
today, and then you're enjoying your quality of life. You're having a lot of pleasure,
It's balance.
and you're just enjoying, and then just the fact that you're enjoying your life, you're enjoying that energy and that quality. That's also sending those wonderful, endorphins through your system. You're a happy camper. You don't have to worry.
And thoughts. I mean, your thoughts change the way you digest things. So when you eat something with pleasure and you know that this is what you want, your body is taking that, your cells are acting to those positive thoughts when it's like, oh, I really shouldn't be doing this. You're not even digesting it. Your body's like, wait, what? It's not good for me? Like, what do I do with it? This
Yeah,
this is scientific.
It is. That totally
It is.
is.
It is.
Thoughts
It is.
thoughts are chemicals. Thoughts
Yeah.
are emotions.
Hey, can
are
we move
chemicals.
around so that Lisa has to stay plugged in? So if you can come over here, and Mary, have a seat over here.
Okay, just
Okay.
as soon stand for a little bit.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get into cooking here. We have, well, first of all, and we have the carrot cake, which was already made, and actually, if you guys wanna go ahead and try it while I'm cooking, you can do that. So you guys can just dig into this and try it. So I gave out the recipe for the carrot cake. The only sweetener is maple syrup and dates and pineapple and carrots, and that's it. Okay, I did do a little cheater, and the icing does have cream cheese. So I used cream cheese. It's not horrible, but when I went to make this cake the first time, and it was my husband's birthday, and I said, I'm gonna make you a carrot cake that's grain-free, gluten-free, refined sugar-free. He goes, can I have my cream cheese? I said, okay, but there's not gonna be powdered sugar on it. So even no powdered sugar, and there is cream cheese, but no powdered sugar. So go ahead and give that a try. You have the recipe in your inbox. It came in yesterday's.
All
All
right.
right.
A whole cup of maple syrup.
Yeah. Well, that's the cup of maple syrup is to soak the carrots, and then you drain that off.
Oh.
So it's only what ingredients. Yeah. So it's only what. But then the icing has half a cup of maple syrup. Okay. What?
Yeah, a little triangle.
Yeah, and you don't even have to do a full because we'll be doing other. Save room for 3 more desserts.
Oh, okay. Then just a square, a wedge. I'll take a wedge. Oh gosh, cut
okay.
that in half with somebody.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
First one is chocolate mousse.
And we're getting these recipes?
I will send you these recipes tomorrow, okay? So I'm starting with coconut cream. It's not coconut milk. And first of all, are you guys okay if we 20 minutes? Do I need to rush too much, or are you okay if we go over a little 4 o'clock?
I'm good.
I'll do it as quick as I can. Okay. So coconut cream, it's not coconut milk, it's a full can of coconut cream. So it's pretty thick. So I'm going to pour this into my Vitamix. 1 can of coconut cream.
Okay.
Thank you.
You can cut mine like yours.
Okay. Then I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of chia seeds.
Thank you.
4 tablespoons, not soaked.
Not soaked. So when you soak your chia seeds, they become like a pudding. So I actually thought about this. Should I make the pudding and then put it in there? I did it just this way. It came out perfect. It was good. Hopefully it does again.
So you just dump it in,
The coconut cream,
yeah,
the chia seeds.
just like that.
Okay. And now
I think that's some of those cheese.
a 1/4 cup of cacao powder. Where's my 1/4 cup? How's the cake? Is it yummy? You gotta make this for your husband.
That's why I had to shove that over.
I'm trying to do this left-handed. Oh. Oh, girl.
That's what I'm
Oh.
talking about.
That's really good.
Do I have to make? I'm gonna have to make it for HLTA.
Oh my
You like it,
goodness,
Mary?
it's so good.
Okay, 1/4 cup of cacao. Okay, then I'm gonna put in 6 dates. So it's a lot of dates, but this is what makes it nice and sweet.
My husband's gonna love this.
The carrot cake or the mousse?
I think both.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we want to remove. And let me just wash my. You remove the seeds. Yeah. They're gonna go right in there. And ooh, I'm gonna put a teaspoon of vanilla.
I've never used dates like that. I never used dates.
The Lara bar makes a bar out of dates. It's so
Yeah.
good.
So a teaspoon of
That's vanilla.
I'm gonna make my own vanilla. That's my next project. Vanilla beans and soak it in alcohol.
Heard of that.
Okay, and some ice. And this is gonna be like blend and serve.
Wow, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's let the Vitamix go to action.
You put that on the highest setting. Was that just on the whip?
Yep, I went up to high. And so it has turned it.
Wow. Look at that. That's like,
Thick, it's like malt.
So now we have this beautiful, so what I did was I cut up some of those beautiful strawberries from Froberg's, from Desiree, and I have some slivered almonds. And you have this beautiful mousse.
Wow.
And so, yeah, a little bit more. So,
Don't forget your green. Put your mint leaf on it.
if you
That's it,
wanted to, oh, there you can get some water out of this.
I'll just put some
Okay.
more.
These you can put it in the refrigerator. The more this sits, the more it's gonna gel.
Thicken.
So yeah, so it would actually turn into more like a pudding because the chia seeds are gonna start to swell. Yeah. So it comes out like a mousse and then refrigerates like a pudding.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and so then you can even make them up like this, keep them in your
Wow.
fridge, and then serve them to your company.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you guys are gonna be, it's a lot. I should have made them smaller. It's hard to make small. Oh,
Thank you.
okay, so that's number 2. All right, so let me just put this, empty this out. Anyone try the mousse yet?
No, I'm stuck on the carrot cake for now. I'll try it in a minute.
Eating every last morsel of the.
Of the carrot cake? All right, so we are really working on, today, the ones we're making are all chocolate desserts because that seems to be the,
Valentine's Day.
well, there you go. This is perfect for Valentine's Day, right?
Talk about seasonal, Cara.
I know.
You're such a manifester.
Totally.
Nobody would have any idea what that was made out of.
What, the mousse?
Yeah, well, any of it, you know. That's what I think is so great. I can't believe, dates, putting dates and stuff.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
I know.
Can you imagine raising kids on this from scratch? They would just not even be able to eat any of the other stuff.
If only I would have started that right out of the womb. I wouldn't be having this battle with my other 2.
So, all right, that's enough. So we have exchange students each year that come, like high school students that come for a program. They're different students each year. And they can't stand our cereal. Like they can't even stomach. They're just like, oh, like it is so sweet. Everything is so sweet to them. Our pizza, like they can't even eat our food. It is so sweet.
Wow.
They're like, how do you eat this? I'm like, I know. The mousse is absolutely delicious. It's so sweet. Donna was saying, you wouldn't even know that it's not sugar in here.
Right.
It's so
Amazing.
sweet.
So could you eat it?
But it is a date.
Okay.
It's made from dates, and dates are sugary. They're very sugary. I mean, it's fruit. It's fructose, right? But you're getting vitamins and minerals with it, but it's still sugar. But your body understands the message of a date better than the message of a processed sugar.
Perfect.
Lisa.
I love it.
That is the best testimony ever, right?
But that doesn't even have that.
Can I use that for a
Wait,
picture?
so bad you're not here to do what Mary Ellen just did. Oh.
It doesn't even have that date taste,
No.
that date flavor.
This pulverizes. It, You
Yeah.
don't even get the texture of it. Nothing.
Right.
But it could be good for Valentine date night.
Ooh.
That's so good.
Okay, this is something. Show this, Lisa.
Oh, sorry.
This actually should be hot. So I actually took. I had a pot of quinoa before this one. That it was getting towards the ends of it, and I made it into a pudding. So I can heat it up if you guys want to taste it. I just want to show you. What I did was just took the rest of my quinoa, put it in a pot with a can of coconut milk, not coconut cream, but just a can of coconut milk, and added cinnamon and raisins and vanilla to it. And that's it. That's it. And it's so good. It's savory and sweet, but not too sweet. Like, I mean, it's not even unhealthy. You can have this for breakfast.
Oh, kind of like an oatmeal thingy. Yeah,
It's
got
like
it.
a sweet oatmeal, right? But it's it's like rice. It tastes like rice pudding.
Could I take a tiny little taste of room
Absolutely.
temperature?
So you didn't bake it, you just mixed it.
You don't want to heat it up? I just mixed it on the stove. Yeah.
You don't have to get, I'm staying with the same utensil.
Yes, put some on mine too. I want to try it also.
Thank you.
I feel like it's better warm though.
It probably might be, but I'm
it
sure,
might be,
I'm
but
sure it's
what the hell?
wonderful at room temperature.
This reminds me of my mom used to make rice with milk and
Like,
raisins.
yeah, or like bread pudding, or right.
Well,
Well,
that's
she made it for breakfast, and it was real,
rice
real
pudding or something.
milky. I mean,
Yeah.
real
Well, when
runny.
this is warm, it's more. It's like a put. It's you have to eat it with a spoon.
Oh my gosh, it totally changes.
You have to eat it with a spoon. It's like a pudding.
So this is coconut milk and quinoa and raisins.
Raisins and cinnamon and vanilla.
Oh.
You know what? I might have put maple syrup in it.
Did you buy
I'm
organic
trying to
coconut?
remember.
I don't taste it.
I
But
might have sweetened it up with maple syrup.
Wait, are these raisins or dates in here?
Raisins. I put dark raisins and white raisins.
Is all your coconut stuff organic?
Not always. Sometimes I go for it.
Probably
sometimes
hard to
not.
find.
Because I started researching after reading one of your morning
I
things
know.
about coconut
Water.
water, and that drove me crazy.
I know.
Wait, what were your findings? Because it's supposed to be better than Gatorade. It's supposed to be the
Oh, it
highest
depends upon
electrolytes.
But you just have to be careful. Yeah, go ahead.
Depends upon the brand and how processed it is, and supposedly the closer it is, like Cara says, to the green coconut. But then a lot of them have the pasteurization, so that it'll have shelf stabilization. And then the ones that don't, this particular website was saying, oh, it's so fresh that, after a few days it will actually turn pink, but pink just is a marker that it's fresh. And then there's like somebody,
Yeah.
posting a comment saying pink equals rancid.
Right. Yeah. So one thing about pasteurization, for so long we were taught that, we should have orange juice in the morning because it's so good. It's all pasteurized. So it's the juice of the orange. It's milk made with water, and they pasteurize it so that they heat it up to such a high temperature that it kills off so many of the vitamins and minerals, but there's no bacteria in it, so it's safe to put on the shelves. And do you ever notice how every carton of orange juice tastes the same? Because they add natural flavor. They put artificial flavor into it, so that because every orange you eat isn't going to taste the same sweetness, so they have to make their product so consistent that they have to actually add flavoring to their juice. So no good. Which is crazy because I grew up on orange juice, skim milk, and Frosted Flakes. And that just makes me want to puke now, right? I mean, that's disgusting. So, your kids are going to be fine, right? I mean, I have friends who are very obsessed with how they raise their kids. And it's I grew up on that. Your kids are going to be fine. Your body can handle some of it, right? Yeah. And there's always time to change. I was just reminiscing and looking at old pictures of myself yesterday, and oh my gosh, I have changed so much. I'm like, oh, you can tell where my diet changed. There is such a difference it's crazy. I mean, I weighed 25 pounds more, 30 pounds more, just of that alone. Okay, the next thing we're gonna make is and we don't really even have to make this. I'm going to show you how I make it, but I made it already, so it's just going to come out of the freezer.
that's fine by me.
I'm going to pretend to make it. Now you can do it in the food processor to save you all the stirring, or you can just mix it in a bowl. And okay, this recipe for fudge is equal parts. Okay, it's equal part.
Got it.
Equal part almond butter. So, okay. I made this batch using half a cup, half a cup, half a cup, half a cup. But I've also made it doing a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. That worked out great. And I also made it doing a tablespoon, a tablespoon, a tablespoon, and a tablespoon. And I made this little thing of fudge. So if you're one of these people who I can't make a thing, if it's around, I'm going to eat it all. You can just make this one little
portion.
It's not even single part. Even the tablespoon came out to a pretty good amount. I mean, that would serve 2 or 3 or 4, depending on how much you want it. So it's equal parts almond butter, coconut oil. So the coconut oil you want to melt down so that it's liquefied. So this is a saturated fat, meaning that it's going to turn solid at room temperature, but when it's heated it turns liquid. So you want to put some in a bowl or a measure, glass or whatever, and you can melt it in the microwave or you can melt it on the stove. And you want to get equal part of that in liquid form. So we have the almond butter, we have the coconut oil, cacao for our chocolate powder, and maple syrup.
This stuff is so good. I would like sell my
So,
husband for this.
This is number 4. Can I use that quote? This stuff is so good I would sell my husband for it. I won't tell him.
Don't hold that.
Okay.
Just gotta find a buyer.
You're on video.
I
have-
like chain letter, you know, mail chain husband letter.
I've made this putting with walnuts and goji berries in it. Came out great. The one you tried, Lisa, I think had stuff in it. This one I just went unadulterated
Thank you.
fudge. Mary, there's plenty more if you want more.
No, this is,
Oh,
okay,
that's a
I'm,
lot.
my body is telling me you have sugar.
I know.
Yeah.
When I have too much sugar, my eardrums start to ring. They rattle.
Really?
My body tells me. So far, they're not ringing. I'm
Okay,
okay.
here you go.
Which means it's good stuff.
You can let it melt a little bit. It's right out of the freezer. Let it melt in your mouth if you don't.
Is this the first time anybody's had this?
But this is my first time.
Me?
Oh, get ready.
Yeah, let it just sit for a minute and get out of the freezer. I should have taken it out. So after this, I can keep it in the freezer, and actually if I wasn't presenting it to you, I probably would have just poured it into a Tupperware so that I can just
Right.
pop it right back on, and you can keep it in the fridge. Once it I think you freeze it for 20 minutes is fine, just for everything to kind of coagulate. And then you can just keep it in the fridge and cut yourself off a little bite for after dinner. If you need your little chocolate square, this is a great way to get it. And then you don't have even the little bit of sugar that's in here. It's just the maple syrup. So
now that's just almond butter,
Coconut oil,
Cacao
cacao powder,
and
and
maple
maple syrup, equal parts. So you can just take a tablespoon of each and make a little thing and put it in.
That's like perfect.
Easy.
Wasn't there a time when everybody was saying don't eat coconut oil, don't eat coconut anything?
Yes.
I thought that
It was the
you
coconut
know,
and the palm.
Yeah.
The palm and
They
the
said stay
coconut
away from it. It's not
were
good
highly
for you.
saturated fats, and you were supposed
Yeah.
to stay away from them.
That was
Right.
during the fat-free.
Well, now they're all going to this coconut stuff, so it's like, well, what changed? I mean,
Well, we're full circle now. At first it was like take out all the fat and then shove in a whole bunch of high fructose sugar. And then they found out that like everybody's still fat, you know, so it was like, okay, let's have people have like fats that the body can metabolize.
oh, and that's
It's
the
not
difference.
hydrogenated, so, you know, it's not gonna like, you know, your body's not gonna freak out. Where's that extra hydrogen? You know, okay, let's just store it in the junk heap. So we're back full circle.
So it's
now we
good
can have
fats.
fat.
It's
That's
good
in
fat.
there. Okay.
Fat doesn't cause fat. Cholesterol doesn't cause cholesterol.
I gotcha.
But sugar causes fat.
Well, it's still calories in,
Yeah.
calories out as far as weight gain. I mean, there's like good healthy eating, but it's just really math. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
like you're taking in more than you're using. Your
Yeah.
body is thinking, well, this is good. Next time we have a famine or something, we'll have a little store to draw.
Shop from.
I kind of find it depends upon how I start. If I don't start my day right,
Yes.
because if I start it with like a croissant, then I'm going to be craving food
That's
all day
totally
long.
true. I
It's
noticed that
very
too.
true. It's very, once you start the sugar, and so I have a classmate of mine who, she went gluten-free because she realized it wasn't even that she had a gluten intolerance, it was just that the sugar, just even the bread sugar, so your gut has a brain, right? And it communicates to us. And all those little microbes that live in your gut can actually send messages. And so when you start with the sugar feeds off the sugar. So when you have sugar in your tummy, it's like, that's so good, give me more of that, keep giving me more of that. It wants to just keep growing. And she said to me, she goes, I realized it wasn't me who wanted the sugary stuff. It was them.
Candida.
It was the candida.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, she's like, now I don't have to listen to that. I can just, she took control of it, you know?
Wow, that's
And, I mean, that's something I struggle with a lot too. And just, you know, the gut health. And, you know, there's a lot going on in that belly and you got to listen to it.
The City Club, our refreshment for our tennis, is finger sandwiches. We have a spread of bagel chips, peanut butter, fruit. I mean, it's a really nice spread, but you know, we pay for it. But finger sandwiches, and my downfall is finger sandwiches. I could eat 600 finger sandwiches. I could live all day long, every day on finger sandwiches. But once I take that first finger sandwich, that's it.
It's all over.
It's all over.
I totally understand. I almost never eat sweets. I almost never eat desserts. Like if I go out or if it's your birthday or something, I might. I had banana pudding the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I just want more. I just wanted to pull up to the refrigerator with a giant spoon and just, you know, once you
ask
start.
for more.
You open the floodgate.
Well, and it sends that, you know, you get that rush of, you know.
That makes so much sense. Little candida, you know, goes out of balance. It's like,
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Well, and you get that, you know, the rush in your head, and you're like, ooh, your body liked that, you know. So it's like, ooh, give me more of that. Yeah. So so one more thing, we're gonna make the milkshake that I started, and you can try your fudge. Go ahead and try your fudge. It'll be good now. It just was super cold before.
I liked it super cold. I actually liked it like that, yeah.
Okay, so I have my homemade nut milk. So we're gonna start with that, but you can use, you know, almond milk, cartoned almond milk, or you can use regular milk.
Where do you find all
You
your
made
raw
your
nuts?
own nut milk?
Did you not watch my video, Mary Ellen?
did.
What?
Sure. I watched your video.
Thank you.
Where do you
It's
get
it's in the emails. I did an email on or a video on how to make it.
That was the one before the how to chop an onion one.
I was away
where
10
do
days
Oh,
with,
that's
with only a little bit of
Where do you
internet
get
access.
where do you get your raw nuts? I mean, are all your nuts raw that you get?
Mostly I like to get cashews roasted to snack on, but I get them from the co-op.
Oh,
But I also will get them sometimes from the bulk bins and different.
but are they
places.
always raw? I guess is what my question is. Do they need to always be raw?
No, I mean, I try to, but they're tastier when. I mean, it depends on what you're using them for. So when I'm using them for nut milk, I want them to be raw.
Okay.
Yeah, because they lose some nutrition when they're roasted, but they taste better. So I mean, if you're just snacking on them, you kind of want that roasty flavor. But if you're using them more utilitarian, then you want them to be raw. Okay, so we started with about a cup of nut milk, any kind of milk, or any kind of milk you want. Then I'm gonna add a frozen banana. So, you know, as you know, I keep all my fruit as it ripens. My bananas, I keep them frozen in the fridge, in the freezer, so that when I want to make a smoothie, it's right there. Okay, then I'm going to add half a teaspoon of maca.
Oh boy. That's that energy stuff, isn't it?
Uh-huh. Smell it. You smelled it before, I know. It smells like butterscotch.
Oh, it does. Like you could just eat it there.
I love butterscotch too.
I do too.
And almost kind of
Oh,
roasted
yeah.
marshmallow as well.
Yeah.
Smelling in there.
I've seen interesting recipes with maca, like I've seen guacamole.
Oh, I
Guacamole.
bet that's
That's cute, right.
Okay, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of cacao powder. And I'm gonna add some honey. This has kind of been my method because it drips when I move it, so I do this. And is that it? And some ice. That's it. So this is very similar to my, like I make a honey bunny smoothie or a green smoothie. So basically, if you just took this and put spinach in it, which the spinach hardly even changes it. It's their chocolate milkshake with spinach in it. I call it the green bunny.
This is Drake's favorite.
Green
This
bunny.
is the green bunny with chocolate. With
Right.
chocolate cacao.
And he didn't even know he was drinking spinach. Just
Yeah.
thought it was a green drink, right?
Yeah, because it turns, if you put the chocolate in, it turns cocoa-y. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bunch of ice in there. and we are going to make more ice, so I'm gonna add more milk. I think I put too much ice. Give it more liquid. Experimented with this. I started with using coconut milk, but I feel like we did enough coconut stuff, so I moved away from it. But it came out delicious, and it almost tasted like a coconut ice kind of dessert. And I even then took them and the first time I made it without ice, it was very liquidy. So I have these squeeze tubes, so like you can put them in popsicle molds.
Oh yeah.
So these are like a popsicle, basically like a popsicle mold. So I froze them in these, and we ate them like little coconut chocolate ice banana things that were really yummy. So you can do that too. So just play around with it. It's fun and really easy. And then I'll just make these little.
Now when you use coconut milk and stuff, it gives it that coconut flavor, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, but now when you cook with coconut oil, it doesn't, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
The more unrefined it is, the more it has the flavor. If you get the super refined coconut oil, it loses the coconut flavor. But the unrefined, okay, it came out really, I think I put too much ice, you guys, but it's gonna be delicious.
We'll just let it sit.
Yeah, it needs to frost a little bit. I was trying to make sure it came out cold, and
Where do you get all these
I
recipes
overshot.
at?
I made a lot of them up, but I mean, I
That's
see,
impressive.
I read a lot of blogs. I see what other people are doing, and I go, well, I like this about that, and I like this about that one, and I kind of figure out what I like the best for myself.
Well, just looking at the pictures of all your salads, and then I asked you, well, what did you put in
I know.
these? Because they all look phenomenally delicious.
Thank you.
Her little adaptations.
Mary asked me for that one where I put out the grains, the day of the grains, and I had all the pictures of my different salads, but I didn't have recipes, and she goes, well, what all's in each one of those? And I'm like,
They're different
I
everything.
see. I couldn't tell her, I'm like, I don't know, there's no recipe for it. I just put whatever I had in my fridge in there.
Well, I cook fresh vegetables and have always, but obviously I don't cook enough at one time because I don't have the wealth of leftover vegetables like you do. If we're having potatoes, sweet potatoes, I'll make basically what I think we're going to eat for that evening.
I
or,
never
maybe a
make
few
like
left.
that. I don't ever cook like that.
I have to cook in such big quantities
Well,
because
I
of our
always
family.
do.
So
Yeah.
have you been cooking bigger then through this?
No, that's my plan.
Yeah.
Is,
Because, I mean, there's so many things to do with leftover sweet potatoes.
right, and I love leftover vegetables, but I rarely have enough to really say
I
so.
like them to snack on, or like I'll make, the other day I made a whole head of cauliflower and I just put a little bit of olive oil and I put, what did I put on it? Mrs. Dash. Is that okay, Mrs. Dash?
I don't know.
Okay, well anyway, I'm supposed to kind of stay away from salt. So I did that and some garlic and I put it in the oven and I just keep it in the refrigerator and I'll just put it in a bowl and eat it as a snack.
Delish.
And that's cauliflower.
I can eat a whole head of cauliflower when it comes out of the oven roasted like that.
yeah.
It doesn't even make it to dinner. Me and Alex sit there.
Oh,
Do you ever do cauliflower
Comes home and
steak?
there's like a little bit of cauliflower in the thing. I'm like, sorry.
No,
Cauliflower
that's good.
steaks are good
Cauliflower
too.
steaks,
Yeah.
cabbage steaks.
Mhm.
Cabbage
Yes.
steaks are really good. You just slice a cabbage and roast them
Red or green?
green.
Do you put the foil around those two, or just the
I
beets
just-
are the only ones you put the foil on?
Yeah, the cabbage I do in slices.
Right.
Okay, so you slice your cabbage
Mm-hmm.
and you bake it.
Like you make cross sections of it,
Okay.
like steaks. And I'll put olive oil, salt, and pepper and roast it.
So you make it kind
400. I always go high with vegetables.
You make it kind of thick then when you slice it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it's not thick.
like steaks. Yeah,
Oh.
cabbage steaks. Yeah.
Like
and
a piece of
then have it
meat.
with your spicy mustard.
Oh man.
Put your A1 sauce on it.
Yeah. It's
Your
like
Heinz
corned beef and
57?
fries without the corned beef.
Because I never even heard of that before.
It naturally does?
Yeah,
Oh,
because it's a
'cause
sea
it's a
salt.
sea salt?
Yeah. So sea salt has iodine in it.
Okay.
One advantage of dulse is that it's very high in calcium. So which of us couldn't use some calcium?
Right. So, yeah, seaweeds are something that our culture doesn't use as much. And so when you look over to, Eastern countries, they don't deal with thyroid issues. They've such different issues, and so cooking with seaweed is really something to just look into and incorporate.
I was in this little hole-in-the-wall Chinese grocery store, I guess you call it, and I'm not sure that everything wasn't expired that they were selling in there. I mean, it was really a hole in the wall, but anyway, I bought this kind of nori type thing anyway, these seaweed strips. And so, because I know they're good for you, so I put one in my mouth and it was like my lips stuck together. I mean, it just like was so dry, it just, all of a sudden this nasty, I'm
You
not
have
a
to
real
be careful,
seaweed,
you can choke on it too.
I'm not a real seaweed fan, so all of a sudden this, really nasty flavor, stuck on my tongue, my lips are stuck together, I'm like, oh no. I don't care how good this stuff is.
You do
for
have
me.
to wet it, like it helps to wet it. So when you have it in a sushi roll, it's got the sesame oil. When you have it dry like that, it will
I had
stick,
heard it was
and
that
it's
you
much
could
more
just
flavorful.
that it was crispy and that you could just have it as a snack.
Yeah.
So that was my intention, was trying to get a healthy snack, but it didn't quite
work.
work out.
So funny.
After I unglued my lip.
Roasted. Oh, you just baked them or
Uh-huh.
something?
Yeah.
Alright.
So 425 or what? temperature?
Yeah, the beets I do on 400, I think. Yeah, 425 would work too.
With olive oil and salt?
Actually, the beets I just wrap in tinfoil, and
Oh, wow.
that's it.
What do you think about the Costco beets, which are organic? They're already roasted.
Costco's got organic food.
Oh yeah, yeah they
Oh,
do.
my.
It comes in these packages, so it's like 3 or 4 beets in a little package, and then you have maybe 4 packages of the 3 or 4 beets, and so they're already roasted. And I just slice them and put them in the saute them in a little butter and salt.
Sounds good. I mean, I haven't.
Yeah.
Is there any other ingredients in there, or is it just the
Beets.
Yeah.
Well, is Costco
Frozen.
the only Costco, the one that's way up north?
Yeah, there's not one near.
Yeah,
here.
there aren't too many of them in Houston.
There's one. Well, there's one in
surprisingly.
Houston. Donna, it's not up north. There's one. Do you mean up north, being in the city?
Yeah. Well, I meant.
I'm thinking Woodlands.
Yeah, no.
I'm thinking Dallas.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure yet.
The
I'm
roasted
sure
root
they're gonna
veggies,
do
olive oil, salt, and pepper.
Okay.
The mustard greens, olive oil, salt, and pepper.
So you were serious?
Okay, and the kale salad I told you. I will post the kale salad.
Okay.
Because I was going to post that as my Valentine salad because it looks very Valentine's Day.